And we are live. Welcome along, Abby Dutton. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me on the PT Graduate here today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Rich. It's great.
Oh, it's great. Good to see you. It's nice to be able to do the face-to-face, even though if people are listening, they're probably only hearing rather than seeing. But this is available on YouTube as well. So, people can do both.
Cool.
So you were originally based in Hamilton, and now you spend your time between Hamilton and Tauranga. The list of things that I've got here that I need to rattle off first. So dancer, teacher, choreographer, you're a cheerleader, you're a PT, you're a business owner. I like this one, Miss Universe New Zealand.
Oh my goodness, where did you find that?
I saw that and I thought, yes.
Oh my goodness, that's a few cats ago.
Okay, yeah, so it's going back, but it's amazing what Google will let you know.
Oh my goodness, you've done your research, right?
Oh no. There was a great photo as well. Owner of Glow Studio in Hamilton, and you have clients in Tauranga as well, as I said. You're an award-winning studio owner, which we'll go into. And you've been in the industry over 10 years, so you know spring chicken in terms of tenure. You've been around a while, so. And I know you've lectured at FitX as well, and on some of the things that you've done, and particularly you've focused on studios. That was a really enjoyable session. I'm nearly there. You're the PT ambassador, or PT is that right? PT ambassador.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ran the PT Council. Yeah.
PT Council. That was the word I was missing.
Yeah.
So there's lots to get into. I'm not sure we'll get this done in half an hour, Abby.
Few hats to wear.
Yeah. So I guess first question is, how did you get into it? I mean, obviously the dance came first. The PT came after that.
Yeah, that's right. So danced through life from 5 right through to 18, made my way into the dance industry and spent some good time there on cruise ships. But when I began to realize that there obviously had to be a life outside and beyond dancing professionally overseas, fitness was the first thing I looked to. I'd been teaching Zumba since I gained my registration or my qualification there in 2010, right at the end of my dance training, and began teaching classes in gyms and in halls and all sorts of places, wherever I could really. Just absolutely loved Zumba and loved what it gave me in terms of a really good foundation for a good format of a class, and just it taught me a whole lot really to get me started. And obviously that was something I kind of came in and out of in between dance contracts overseas, so that was a really cool thing to have sort of in the background as such. But it wasn't until I came home in 2015 that I began thinking really in the personal training sense of the fitness industry. And it was in 2016 that I started at Les Mills as a personal trainer. But yeah, like I said, I think the Zumba thing really is what got me started in a sense. It was always a really nice balance of the dance and fitness, and kind of led me that way into the full-blown fitness world, I guess, in 2016. So personal trainer for 5 years and group fitness instructor for 10, I guess. So
right, okay, gotcha. So a bit of a half of each.
Yeah.
So your Studio Glow, which is based in Hamilton, I love the name, and it's a really, you've obviously done some good work around branding and and understanding the values of the business and what it stands for. It's really easy to kind of understand that from an outsider's point of view, so I love that. There's a kind of that you've got that blend going on, haven't you, with the dance stuff and the PT stuff at the studio?
Yeah, well, I wanted to create a brand that was really broad, I guess, at the same time as you watch business owners in the ballet world and the Abby Dutton School of Dance or Dance Academy, and I just didn't want to sort of be closed-minded or pigeonhole myself into a place that I might not end up in. I saw that fitness was going to be a part of that business, and obviously it's become in a big way it's become what I do. But yeah, the name really came from the fact that I wanted to combine the two, and what better way to talk about building strong women than through the concept of diamonds. It's the pressure that builds the beautiful diamond, all those sorts of things. It's really great symbolic sort of, I won't go too much into it, but heaps and heaps of ways that diamond concept came into it. They shine, they're glittery, all the things that make a feminine woman herself. So yeah, there's a lot to do with that whole concept there. But at the same time, I just wanted to make sure that whatever direction the business took, whether it were in fitness or dance, or like I like it to be right now, in a really great space of both, that it encompassed everything that I wanted to do. So we've got the likes of our ballet classes right through to boot camp and boxing. We've got women who have never danced before, right through to women who are, ex-professional, that are wanting to get back into the sort of dance space after having years in the industry and now coming back to run households and just go back into that passion again. So yeah, there's a whole lot of variety and a whole lot of spaces for a whole lot of different women, really, in terms of what we offer. So that's what's really been a pleasure for me, is to see that we've got a really great range of people, or women of course, but coming into our space for a whole lot of different reasons, but through the joy of dance and fitness. So it's exactly what I want it to be.
Yeah, well done. Good stuff. And you've got, was it 2017 that you went to you entered the studio into the awards?
So I entered in 2016 and 2017 for Up and Coming PT. Was a finalist, luckily, in both of those. And then it was the 2018 year that we were able to take away the Studio of the Year. But it was a real honour. Really cool.
Yeah. So what was that process like? Because I guess that's something I really encourage people to do, is to get into the awards, not necessarily just for the accolades. I mean, obviously that's a nice to have, but the process that you go through, was that useful for you?
Oh, 100%. It was really, really great for me to take a step back. At that time, I will admit, I was pretty deep into it. I had a lot of dedication and time going into that setup phase of my business. I'd just recently, actually within that year, come out of the Les Mills environment and into my own space. So I was virtually only like 3 or 4 months into running my studio in its own brick and mortar space. So for me, it took a sort of direction of taking a step back and seeing what it was that I was on my own, to be able to sort of put myself out of everything I'd learned in that wonderful space and set up phase at Les Mills, and then be able to go into life and kind of have those questions and the different aspects that are looked into through the awards questioning, to sort of go, right, where am I positioning myself? I had a really good idea of who I was. I'd done it all before with the Up and Coming PT, and that's what I think was really valuable, is that I sort of knew the phase and the processes that was part of the awards process as such, from Up and Coming. And it was just then going, right, how does it work with a space and a gym and or a studio space, as opposed to myself, and really taking that step back. But yeah, I find that it was just a really great process to analyze a whole lot of different sections of business. Obviously the branding, how it feels itself, the atmosphere and environment. That was something that came through in the comments, was the attention to that kind of detail as well. The fact of having somebody come in and mystery shoppers and not knowing quite how you're going to be pulled through your paces. It's really really good to put that little bit of pressure on yourself to make sure that you're delivering what you want and what you're really proud of. And then of course the financial side of it, doing some good deep looking into how things are flowing with the retention and all sorts of different things that perhaps I wouldn't have looked into had I not had that opportunity. So it's the confidence that builds in you to be in a space where you put through your ringer of checking in on everything, and it's just a really good process to
not too many stones left unturned.
Exactly that.
It's pretty rigorous. And I think the thing I found with that process was the bits that I was missing. You think you've got it all nailed down, and then you go, oh, they're checking that. Hadn't thought about that. And you immediately kind of incorporate that into your business.
That's it. Realizing your values might not be aligned with making sure your values are quite broad as well, compared to what you might find is important to yourself, and getting a second look at it all. Really valuable.
Good stuff. And so you also use a space over in Tauranga as well, so under the same banner of Studio Glow.
Absolutely. So obviously with COVID hitting, I had a bit of a lifestyle change, and that was both the worst and the best thing that could have really happened. Obviously in my personal life, it was amazing for me to be able to transition my life into a place of balance, I think, as well. That was something that I was really struggling with personally. So that situation was great for us in that sense. And then at the same time, opening my eyes to the fact that maybe this place can exist without me, and that I can have that freedom to perhaps build the dream further into franchising or
Yeah.
into at least building a second studio in space and having another region part of what we do. So
Yeah.
the Hamilton space is obviously running in a sense without me. It's able to run with a couple of classes of mine each week, but essentially I've got a bunch of awesome team members there that are doing their thing in the times that I'm not there. But it's allowed me to build more of a profile, I guess. Over here I'm contracting to some dance schools and doing some more freelance work under my own name, I guess, at the same time, but as well as that, building Studio Go over here in a smaller way and plan to just keep growing that. But as soon as you go into a brand new city, you're a nobody as such. No one knows who I am, so it's a matter of sort of getting out there and really exposing who I am and what Studio Glow is about. And it's working really well, but like I said, it's just slow process and building up again, to the point where hopefully in the next couple of years it would be another copy as such of what Studio Glow Hamilton is like. So I'd love for a space that everyone can come and be a community. I think we're really, really strong in our community aspect, and that's something that I'd love to build within a proper space. At the moment we're working out of the Pice Bar Hall over here, and that's great, but ultimately I feel like it does need to have that kind of intimacy and that boutique feel that I'd really like to run with going forward. So it's just watch the space, really.
No, that's an exciting. I think that's a clever way of doing it. You know, you're building that. You're building the community over there in the new city, getting I guess enough momentum to the point where you're ready to go, right, I've now got the critical mass to open the doors on another property.
Exactly.
And recreate the brand again as you did in Hamilton. That's exciting, really exciting, because as you say, there's that possibility of replicating the brand elsewhere through that franchise model. Which there are some brands out there doing that. And I think the key with that is systems, isn't it? And I suppose some of those things will have been nailed down when you went through the process, and obviously time in business, you get better and better at nailing those things down. And you know, when something's not working, there's a gap and you go, oh, I need a system to make that work without me. And then you can just
sadly it is a case of learn the hard way, isn't it? It's part of the grind of being a business owner is sometimes the things that you expect to work are not working, or someone might give you some awesome advice and it doesn't always fit right on you. So it is definitely that trial and error process that I've taken, and it's been great because it means that it is organically what works for you and your people and your community, and it's not that cookie cutter approach. So it's been, in terms of our boutique space that we have, it's been a learning curve of even things like how long should a block be in our space? What's the pass options? What is the membership length? All these sorts of, terms and conditions, these sorts of things. So all of that's just developed in its own way, and that's potentially not what Tauranga might need, so it is very much a learning curve process of figuring out and working with what you've got in front of you. So
there's always going to be regional differences possibly with businesses. You must have had some good advice along the way. I mean, you've set up a successful business, and it's running without you most of the time. Who were your advisors? How did you learn all on your own, or did you get you got some good people in your corner?
Yeah, I've definitely had some amazing mentors and I wouldn't say mentors, friends, amazing friends. The likes of Alistair Richardson at Les Mills in my early days as a personal trainer. I wouldn't be without him. He was an amazing support. Just someone to check in with, really. I'm someone I've found in the last few years that quite likes the idea of having a bit of permission. It's a strange concept, but sometimes if I have a really good idea, I just need to bounce it off and see that it might sort of resonate with somebody else as well. So he's been an awesome sounding board. Wendy Sweet was actually, it's a good story, but her and I were, funnily enough, in a coffee cafe, having a coffee, I should say, in Hamilton a few years back without knowing each other at all. She overheard a conversation I had with a really good friend of mine discussing where I was at with, coming home off the ships and wanting to get some direction and figure out where I was going to finish off my training and things like that. And she sort of, I always say, she sort of listened in and heard what my pain points were, I guess, and said, hey, come and sit with me. I might be able to help you. Little did I know who Wendy Sweet now is. So she's been someone I've always, in a similar way, had a sounding board approach with. I've run lots of ideas by her, and she's been so encouraging, and I really admire and essentially idolize the business that she's creating for herself and the wonderful things she's doing in her community too. So, and then not to mention the likes of the awards winners over the years yourself, having chats with the likes of Kate Sainer last year after her win, all the sorts of, gems that you can pick up just from having great conversations with good people that are driven and passionate as well. So there's so many, I could keep going forever, but it's ultimately those couple within the fitness industry, and then a few within the dance as well, because a business is a business, right? So it's using those same sorts of concepts and format that have come from some of my learnings in the dance industry as well. Sarah Bill got to Apollo Theatre School, was my director through my training there, and she's been an amazing role model as well. So a bit of a combo of both, I think, to be able to build Studio Glow as a dance and fitness space with kind of the aspects of both running kids classes and things like that is still part of Studio Glow as well. So there's a really wide range of people with wonderful advice that I've been able to pick up and play with. So very grateful.
Fantastic. I guess those things can kind of happen organically, don't they? You don't necessarily always go looking for those people. I mean, you either work with them and therefore you build a bond, or you bump into them in a coffee shop, which is totally random, but it was meant to be, right? Because
I know. I often think if I didn't go for a coffee that day, how I may be in a whole different space. She was really helpful in getting me into the Les Mills space that she'd been part of, and I probably wouldn't have taken that direction necessarily and wouldn't be here today. So it's very cool to watch that kind of thing happen spontaneously. But I always say to people, especially younger ones that might, quiz my brain, I say, hey, you just got to get out there and be networking. I'm part of likes of BNI and a few different networking groups and things, anywhere I can be that's meeting new people. And obviously not for your own personal gain, but to be able to give back as well. That's really important.
That's right. Givers gain, don't they? So it's always a two-way street.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Awesome. Great story. I didn't know that Wendy Sweet one. That's good. Talk to me a bit about the PT ambassador, PT council ambassador role. Obviously you're kind of responsible for the whole thing, and then you've got lots of other people around the country that are part of the team. How does that work for anyone who's not familiar?
So the ambassadors, there's a team of us through the Personal Training Council. We run a range of different events throughout the year. It's been a really interesting time to take the helm of that. We had the lovely Jane Scott, who's been a huge role in that role and a huge part of the Personal Training Council for many years. And she handed the reins on and essentially said, I'm here, I'm right in the background, ready to help. And we've been, through the last year, through an interesting time where obviously the face-to-face meetups haven't been an option. And actually when things became, I guess back to a sense of normality, it wasn't necessarily the way things seemed to be working. So we've had a real bit of a change around really, and tried to change the format a little bit so that we can reach more people and essentially expose what the council do. But at the end of the day, the council is all about being able to have a point of contact for PTs, whether it's new or old PTs or experienced PTs, I should say, that have got perhaps the need for some community, the need for some advice or knowledge. We try to arrange a whole varied sort of set of meetups for more personal or meet and greet networking sort of style arrangements. We've got the likes of our national meetings, which there's one today with Greg. So Greg's taking a national meeting in his sort of area of expertise today, and each of the ambassadors will run one of those throughout the year. So that's sort of a new format that we've decided to go with, knowing that face-to-face meetings in smaller regions might not be that well attended. And of course, the nature of the personal training business that, to try and get a really good number of personal trainers in the same room at the same time at the same place is not always that manageable. So we've gone to the online format just to hope to reach more people really and expose what they do. So Nikki Williams, our lovely Nikki, she loves the staff room for personal trainers. So naturally for a personal trainer like myself or those that are in a boutique or their own studio space, you don't always have a team around you to bounce ideas off like you might within a corporate gym. So it's a really great space for those sorts of people to have a bit of a network and a point of contact, someone to chat with, personal or work-based. So that's essentially what the Personal Training Council is all about. But at the same time, I've been really interested in trying to make it less about personal trainers alone and more about networking inside and outside of personal training itself and into yoga and into a whole bunch of different places, because you look around at personal trainers now and they're not not necessarily one-trick ponies. You know, they might have business classes, or they might be doing yoga as well, or whatever it might be, Pilates sort of thing. So it is a really good idea to keep it broad and make sure that we're just being a point of contact for anybody that's within the industry wanting a bit of a hand or some extra knowledge. So really, really great space.
Where can people go to see what sort of events are coming up? You know, those meetups, whether they're national or local. So
each region has a hub. So the Facebook page for each hub has a whole lot of information that each ambassador takes care of, and they might promote something locally. There's also the New Zealand page, so the Personal Trainers New Zealand page that has more of the regional sort of work or pieces on there. We've got a website which is just sort of under construction at the moment. There's bits and pieces to see right now, and a whole lot of archive material that is it's gold. There's a whole lot of webinars and bits and pieces there that are just so awesome, and we're adding to that all the time. There's a few spots there, and then each of the ambassadors has their own email address, so you can easily touch base that way. A lot of people tend to just message, obviously the likes of Messenger, all the formats nowadays. There's so many ways of getting in touch, but we really, really promote what we're doing and getting in touch, because that's ultimately what the ambassadors are here for, to give back and to help people up. So telling new personal trainers that that's an offering that we have in our industry is, I think, a really important thing to do, because it's a really great way up. So
people should at least jump into the groups and be a member of those groups, those pages, shouldn't they? So that if there is stuff being broadcast out there, they get notified and they're aware of what's going on.
That's it. And all the meetings are recorded as well. So if you're not able to catch up on the live sort of side of it, then you can always have a look after, listen to it on the car on the way somewhere.
Exactly. Good. Excellent. So is that role pretty time consuming for you? Do you find it's all encompassing, or is it manageable?
I probably would like it to be more all encompassing. Like, I find because I often sit down on a Monday morning before I get into the rest of my personal work, I guess, and sort of have a look at what's happening and how the ambassadors are going. And obviously we catch up on a monthly basis, the ambassadors, so making sure the agenda for the meetings are out and things like that. So I can find myself spending a good number of hours and wanting to really engage with it and spend a whole lot of time exposing what we do, because I find a lot of people sort of go, I didn't even know it existed, and what a great idea, and we're getting more and more traction with it. So it is really encouraging. So I would like to be doing more of it, but ultimately it's what I feel it needs as such. So to make sure everything's chipping away is my goal, and if that takes an hour here and there, or a few hours once a week, it's up to me. So I just make sure that everything's chipping away, and I have talks with the likes of Nikki and Jules as well. So we keep our communication really, really tight, so that we can make sure that everything's being, the likes of advertising through the pages, there's a whole lot that goes into it. So we are in contact quite often. So it's been a really cool way to, I guess, be a role model too, and learning from those ladies too, which is really, really great. So really cool role. Well,
thank you for it. Thank you for the time you do put in. I know it's sometimes those tasks are a bit thankless because people don't see the work. It just happens. It just appears in front of them, and everybody should be benefiting from that stuff. So, on behalf of those who do enjoy the stuff that you do, thank you. It is appreciated. And I know the same goes for Jean, who does an enormous lot and has done and still does do an enormous lot behind the scenes, and for the benefit of everybody in the industry. So thank you.
Pleasure.
I guess the theme about PT Graduate has always been about keeping PTs in the industry, keeping them successful, helping them be successful, and your pathway sounds like the perfect pathway to help set you up for success. And this is something we've had in other conversations. Is that time that you have getting used to the role, developing those soft skills. Obviously you get the technical skills and they get stronger as well, but it's the soft skills that are really what I think makes or breaks in this industry, because that's how you build the relationships, that's how you build a business. And spending that time at Les Mills for you was obviously a really important part of your growth. And you mentioned that before, and where you are now would maybe have been quite different if you hadn't had that time at Les Mills. And I suppose that's almost a de facto apprenticeship. You know, you learn your skills on the job, you get better and better and better, your confidence goes up, you feel like you can do more, you take on bigger challenges, and things progress. That isn't necessarily the path for everybody, but would you say that would you say what I've just described is true in terms of
Absolutely. Yep. And
that
I'm also
pathway?
always very encouraging of any personal trainer that might come my way,
Yeah.
quizzing me on that kind of concept. It's always the fact that I started in a bigger space with a whole lot of what would you say? There's so many lessons that have been learned within the Les Mills process. You know, there's such a lot to look at within that business and the model, that as a singular person new into the industry, you can take this small piece of and go, right, okay. So yeah, at the same time as loving being part of a really great business, and a Kiwi business at that, and the size of that business, to be able to scale it down and go, this is how things work, and this is what works and what doesn't, or this worked within that business, but I have to look at a different approach, you know. So there's so much to take from being part of a big scale thing, big scale monster, and pulling it into what you can manage in your own space and with your own knowledge. Naturally, I was somebody who had a skill set that was quite different, I guess, compared to the run-of-the-mill personal trainer that wanted to focus and specialize within that space. So I, began to realize that was perhaps not the best environment for me to be able to pull in everything I wanted to do within my business model. But it gave me, like you say, all those soft skills of the industry to be able to progress in the way I needed to, pulling in both worlds into one. So I definitely promote the idea of being part of that environment, and also for the options to build up your business and have leads and all those sorts of things that on your own you're very, it's a hard life to try and build up a business from nothing without any support. Definitely very encouraging of that, and that's my own journey, but I think there's lots of merits in that process.
It sounds like some of the stuff you're doing outside of that is there's some self-development in there anyway with the other things that you're doing, different location, the ambassador role. Are there other things that you think are either things you do or things you've observed that have been useful in terms of that progression, in terms of that self-development and so on for longevity?
Yeah, definitely. I think diversifying in the sense of the word is what I needed to do to be able to have an enjoyable work life. I think I realized pretty quickly at Les Mills, when I was doing the 4-5 a.m.s, 4 a.m. wake up calls and working right through to 9 p.m, that just wasn't going to be sustainable. And I needed to find some work that perhaps didn't leave my middle of the day open. If I wanted to have a family one day and all these sorts of things, I needed to. So I was very, very quickly, even though it's been 5 or more years since that sort of space is coming into my world, I've been thinking since day dot, how am I going to organically build this to a position where in 5 years I'm still where I don't want to be. It was sort of, I guess, fleshing out what it is that was important to me, what sort of work I really liked doing. I didn't feel as valuable to people doing work that I didn't feel equipped to deliver on. I was starting to, within the Les Mills space, earn myself some clients, or the chance to build a client relationship with people who were leads from the gym that might be cyclists or into boxing. And I'm sort of thinking I had to be everything to everybody. So very quickly realized that, hey, within that sort of space, I wasn't necessarily going to build the niche that I really wanted to. I knew from the day dot that I started Les Mills that I'd train women, because that was where I felt best equipped. And naturally my brand is very feminine and that sort of thing. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't sort of too master of all, but naturally within that sort of molding it into what I wanted it to be, it became evident that I was starting to earn the clientele that I wanted, I guess, or felt most valuable to. And they were the dancers, the people who wanted to enjoy their fitness, as opposed to those perhaps who were going into a competitive space within areas that I'd never been. I can't speak on those without a whole lot of research going in, and that's where time can very quickly slide away. So there was just a whole lot of refining, I think, and pulling in, diversifying of course, but then also pulling in the services list that I had 5 years ago is half now. And this is me going, okay, I thought I had to be doing all the things and now I just need to focus in on dance, fitness, group fitness. Those are the three kind of pillars of what we do now, and that's still pretty broad. But for example, we're realizing maybe we don't do yoga because there's so many yoga specialists out there and doing wonderful things. We're going to hone in on our little area of expertise, and we're finding that that's really successful for us because we're able to really deliver to those people in that niche spaces where we really sit comfortably, and I feel right in that space without having to pull into worlds that really belong to somebody else with the level of expertise that they have. So
interesting. So it sounds like you've narrowed your market, but you've made it deeper. So if people were wanting some yoga, they may have come to you, but there were other options. But actually, you know, if you focused on the dance and the group stuff, actually you're broadening the appeal because you're sticking to your knitting, the stuff that is your strengths and the stuff that you actually love more. So it's almost two birds with one stone. You know, you're doing the work you love, and because you're really focusing in on it, you're becoming more successful as a result of it. And I guess it sounds like it's an evolution. Hey,
I just said people can smell it. You know, I just feel like I can't deliver organically or truthfully on something that I don't have a really great sound knowledge in.
Right.
And I think my trainers are the same. And obviously they wear different hats to me. And I've pulled in people who I believe can do that job to the best of their ability, but in a way that perhaps I can't as well. So there's but within that, there's still a very select bunch of things that we choose to do and do well, as opposed to being, I thought I once had to do everything. And that's quite a big heavy load to carry. So
and I think that's a normal perception, a normal reaction, isn't it? You know, it's like, well, I need all these services, you know, so I can make good money, and you know, once I've got them humming, then you know, there'll be lots of money coming in from all of those things. And actually the journey is almost the opposite. It's like, well, actually you just narrow that down and you'll get more of the people that want that specific thing, and actually it will probably be more than if you were trying to do all the other stuff that you thought was necessary, and more energy, less time trying to keep all those plates in you know, spinning. And you find the balance, you're living your values, everything kind of starts to become a little bit aligned.
Definitely. That's been a real progression or a search for me, is getting that balance and that having everything aligned nicely in your life is important.
You've got to protect your energy, haven't you? Because, you know, it does require a lot of energy, A, being a business owner, but B, working with people all the time. You're giving and giving and giving that energy. And, you know, you get to the end of the day and you're exhausted and you think, bloody hell, only another 5.5 days to go, or whatever your week would be.
Exactly.
And you kind of, I think I went through the same journey. It's like, well, how can I gain some time back, but still earn the same income? Because I know where I want to be earning, but how can I do it in a way that, you know, without sounding, it's about efficiency, really, isn't it? It's got, how can I make this machine as efficient as possible, least in, maximum out, and still be delivering on all the things that I want to be delivering on?
Absolutely.
And it is a journey.
100%. Yeah. Definitely.
Brilliant. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything, I always ask this, is there anything I didn't ask that I should have done that could be useful to add?
No, I was just thinking in my head, like I've just spent the weekend judging a ballet competition, and I feel like it's those sorts of things that, you know, and just this morning, one of the local teachers there, that they did very well in the weekend, and obviously they like who I am because I really liked them. They've asked me to guest teach, you know, go into talk and guest teach. So all of these little things of being in the face, and we kind of touched on it already, but, you know, yes, I'm a personal trainer, and yes, I'm a dance teacher, but all of those things can open up so many windows. And we talked a lot about the networking and being in the right place at the right time and the right people. But just really pressing on that is where I sit within, you know, offering advice or something to talk on within how to make business work for you, or how to make it enjoyable, the process of it. It's just, always saying yes, you know, and being careful of when the no's come, but when you feel something's right, just going with that, because you just don't know what opportunity that might bring. And if it sits well within, like we talked about, your values and you know, where you're wanting to head, say yes, get along,
Yeah,
get in there and meet the right people and build
Brilliant.
those relationships. So
yeah,
no, lots of things we could talk on, but I'll leave that with you.
We've done well already. That's fantastic. I think that's a nice note to finish on. So thank you so much for your time, Abby. It's been great to chat, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. You're right, we could just keep going. There's lots to talk on, but maybe we'll do a version 2, down the track.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Sounds good. Awesome.
All right, well, thanks a lot, and see you soon.
Cool.
Bye.